The sun rose gently over Umuahia village, spilling a golden light that danced across the rooftops. The birds chirped in playful symphonies, and the scent of roasted yam drifted from the kitchen of a modest clay house with a zinc roof. Inside that home lived a boy named Chukwudi, 15 years of age, tall for his years, with a lean frame and eyes that shone with innocence and laughter. His name meant God exists, and to his family, he was the joy that carried light into their days. His father, Obinna, was a farmer known for his strength and wisdom. His mother, Amarachi, was soft-spoken, her voice always carrying warmth even in her scoldings. Together, they raised 5 children, with Chukwudi as the eldest. His younger siblings adored him. Little Kelechi, only 8, who never left his side, and Ngozi, the 10-year-old who shared his secrets and stories under the moonlight. Their house was small, but laughter made it feel like a palace. On evenings when the sky bled orange, the family would gather around the kerosene lantern. Obinna would tell folk tales of warriors who fought with courage, and Amarachi would sing lullabies that floated like honey in the air. Chukwudi would listen, wide-eyed, already imagining himself one day becoming a man his family would be proud of. Those were the days of peace. Those were the days when the boy's world was whole. But peace, in this cruel world, is fragile. One night, as rain lashed against the rooftops and thunder cracked the skies, the village shook under the sound of engines, vehicles that did not belong there. Men poured in, armed with rifles and machetes, their faces masked, their voices harsh with cruelty. They were not strangers. They were men from the neighboring settlement, mercenaries hired by corrupt hands to clear the land for a foreign company. Chukwudi woke to screams, the shriek of his mother, the angry bellow of his father, the terrified wail of his siblings. He leapt from his bamboo bed, his heart hammering, confusion clawing at his chest. When he rushed to the sitting room, his eyes caught a nightmare carved in fire and blood. His father Obinna stood in defiance, holding only a wooden staff, while 10 armed men laughed at his courage. He lunged at them, a lion defending his cubs, but the bullets tore through his chest, for Chukwudi could even cry out. His father's body hit the ground with a thud that broke something deep in the boy's soul. "Papa!" Chukwudi screamed, his voice drowned by thunder. His mother, Amarachi, rushed forward, clutching Ngozi and Kelechi to her breast, pleading with the intruders. "Biko, leave us. We are innocent," she begged, her tears falling like the rain outside. But mercy was a language foreign to these men. With one swift motion, a machete silenced her plea. Blood stained the clay floor. Chukwudi froze, trembling, his vision blurred by tears. His siblings clung to him, but their cries only drew the killer's attention. One by one, in an act of barbarity too cruel for words, they fell. Innocent voices silenced forever. By some miracle, Chukwudi was not noticed. In the chaos, he was knocked backward into a dark corner, hidden behind a toppled chair. He bit his lips until they bled, muffling his sobs as he watched his family, the people who were his very soul, slaughtered before his eyes. The men set fire to the house, their laughter mixing with the crackle of flames, before vanishing into the storm. When dawn broke, silence filled the ruins. Ashes drifted in the wind, and the stench of blood and smoke hung heavy in the air. Chukwudi crawled from the wreckage, his clothes singed, his face streaked with soot and tears. He stumbled to where his mother lay, her lifeless eyes staring at the sky, and fell to his knees. "Mama. Papa. Kelechi. Ngozi." His voice cracked, trembling with a grief too large for his young heart to hold. He shook their bodies, begging them to wake, but their silence was an answer sharper than any blade. He cried until his throat burned, until his tears could no longer fall. The boy who once laughed under the moonlight, who once dreamt of becoming a man of honor, was now hollow, emptied by sorrow. As he buried them in shallow graves with his trembling hands, his chest heaved with rage that mingled with grief. In the distance, whispers reached him. Villagers spoke of how the land his father refused to sell had been targeted by corrupt officials, men who hired mercenaries to wipe out families who stood in their way. They whispered names. Names Chukwudi would never forget. That day, standing barefoot in the ashes of his childhood, his fists clenched, his eyes bloodshot, Chukwudi made a vow. He would not rest. He would not laugh again. He would not know peace until those responsible tasted the same fire, the same agony. His tears dried into fury. His innocence burned into ash. The boy was gone. What stood in his place was something darker, sharper, stronger. At 15, Chukwudi was no longer a child. He was grief embodied, a vessel of vengeance, and a shadow preparing for war.